This is the new Sony 50mm f1.4, which was announced today. And this is the new Sigma 50mm f1.4, which was only announced a few weeks ago. So we have two new and very good 50mm lenses to choose from for E-mount cameras. Not that we were short of options before, of course. There are a lot of 50mm lenses for E-mount now, perhaps more than any other focal length. So I thought it would be interesting and hopefully helpful to get these two new lenses and then a couple of our other favorites, the Sony 50mm f1.2 G Master, of course, and the Samyang 50mm f1.4 Mark II as more of an affordable option, all in the same place at the same time, side by side, and do some simple comparison tests to try and help you to decide between them. So let's start by talking about the price. These are the product pages right now at ProAV. So prices here are correct as of the time this video goes out, but might of course be slightly different when you actually come to watch it. So make sure you check the website for the up-to-date pricing with the link down below. But I do think it's important to give a bit of perspective on pricing at the beginning of this video, because the lenses vary massively. Both of the Sony G Masters are of course substantially more than either the Sigma or the Samyang options, with the Samyang particularly being really quite affordable. Physically there's a big difference as well. They're all roughly the same size for the most part. The Samyang is that little bit smaller, but there is a noticeable weight difference between them, especially between the heaviest lens, the Sony f1.2, and then the Sigma f1.4, which is the second heaviest lens, and then the new Sony and the Samyang. These both feel really nice and lightweight. They all have a 72mm front filter thread, apart from this new Sony, which is a 67mm thread. Both of the Sony lenses are leading the pack in terms of features, with two assignable buttons on each and an iris ring which can be declicked and locked, as well as an autofocus manual focus switch. The Sigma is very similar, but with only one assignable button. It also has an iris ring which can be declicked and locked. The Samyang is a bit simpler. There's no iris ring here, but there is a button and a Samyang's custom mode switch, which now most of their modern lenses have. By default, this is going to change your focus dial from controlling your focus to controlling your iris, so it sort of functions like an iris ring. And that mode switch can be changed with their optional docking station to do a bunch of different things if you'd prefer, even just working as a regular manual focus autofocus switch if you want it to. There's also a button which can be changed with their dock, and by default this is set to focus hold, just like all these other lenses buttons are. Let's take a look at some of our image quality comparisons. I can't see any noticeable colour shifts between the lenses particularly, although both Sonys do look ever so slightly less saturated than the Sigma and Samyang lenses. All four of them are really sharp and detailed, even wide open. This is 4K footage from the A7 Mark IV cropped into 500% in the centre of frame. The new Sony f1.4 is probably the sharpest of the bunch, with the other three all looking pretty similar to me. However, both Sony lenses have no sign of chromatic aberration here on this chart, while both the Sigma and the Samyang do have quite a bit. If we stop down to f2.8, they get even closer in performance. The Sony f1.2 has got much sharper, however I still think the new f1.4 is more detailed. But it's very close between all four. And if we move over to the edge of the frame, things are still very impressive. The Samyang is perhaps the weakest here wide open, but they're all pretty good really. These are four very sharp lenses. We also found they were very close in terms of autofocus performance. In this fairly simple test of me walking backwards and forwards a bit, they tracked me perfectly. And if we zoom into the background, you get a bit of a better sense of how smooth each one actually is. I'd say the Sonys are both the smoothest, followed by the Sigma and then the Samyang, but as you can see, they all do just fine. There were a few areas where we found a big difference though. This is a focus breathing test, and the Sonys both have a noticeable amount of breathing. Plus the focus ring when manually changing focus on these lenses was very difficult to control smoothly and precisely. These are definitely autofocus first lenses, if you know what I mean. The Sigma, on the other hand, was a dream to manually focus with. It has a really lovely amount of dampening that tricks you into thinking it's not a fly-by-wire lens, which of course it still is, but it does let you control the focus very precisely, even if it wouldn't be repeatable like a cine lens would. However, this is definitely the lens with the most focus breathing here. This is not the Sigma's strong point at all. If we look at the Samyang though, it does really well. There's barely any focus breathing, which I was very surprised to see. So hats off to Samyang. There's also a big difference in the bokeh rendition. This is wide open on each lens, and if we zoom into the corner you can see the difference. I think the Sony f1.2 is the clear winner here, with nice, smooth, natural looking bokeh. These autofocus lights look very clean, and although they are a slight oval shape here in the edge corner, they are still quite soft and round. The new Sony f1.4 on the other hand is still very clean, but with much more of defined points on either side of the oval. The Sigma looks lovely and soft as well, but it does have a bit more going on inside the bokeh, some slight onion skinning, but the shape is very good. And the Samyang here is my least favourite. There's just some uneven cutting going on and some noticeable noise and markings down the right hand side of the balls in this shot. Nothing too problematic, it still looks great when not cropped in, but it's just not quite as good as the other three. So all in all, these lenses are actually pretty close. Certainly much closer than their price tag would suggest they should be. And close enough that it really makes my job pretty hard in terms of which one to recommend. The Sony lenses are pretty consistently better in every way, but then they kind of should be for the price. The only area I think that they aren't better than more affordable lenses is in the manual focusing. The Sigma particularly has much more dampening and resistance on the focus ring, which in my opinion is just much nicer to manually focus with for video. But apart from that, the Sonys are unexpectedly the best lenses here, and choosing between the f1.4, the new one, and the f1.2 really depends on what's important to you. Size and weight, or that maximum aperture and the best quality. On the other end of the scale in terms of price, there's the Samyang, which really offers some fantastic value for money. There are even some areas where it came out on top, like its lack of focus breathing, and it holds up pretty well in most of those other areas as well. The Sigma just is perhaps that bit more consistent in its performance across the board though, so I do think my advice, particularly for video users, would be to step up to the Sigma if you can afford to. I just think it's a better all-rounder for video work. But the Samyang is smaller, has less focus breathing, is much cheaper, and you know, its autofocus and image quality, although they're not as good, they aren't really that far off. So even though it's the least impressive lens here on the table in front of me, I wouldn't blame people for choosing it at all. But what do you think? If you want to buy any of these lenses, head over to prov.co.uk and let me know which one you would prefer to use in the comment section down below. Let me know if this video has been helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.